we get a lot of queries from people saying, I'm going to be on my own, does that matter? It's like, actually, 95% of the people there are on their own. They can't find a friend who also wants to play netball, so they just, and I think getting over that fear of that they're going to stand out because they're not good enough, or everyone else is going to be amazing and I'm going to look silly, or I'm not going to know anyone there and no one's going to talk to me. And so we put all of those barriers, really, or those fears to one side and just put your trainers on and try.
Yeah. We live in challenging times in which we are less active than ever before, in which obesity rates are soaring and the medical system is struggling to cope. Here at ORFI Active, we are on a mission to get more people more active more often. But we can't do this alone, so we're speaking with numerous impactful and inspirational people within the sports, health and fitness industry, and together they'll help us understand the significance of a healthy lifestyle and how it can change our lives for the better. This is Orfi Hangouts.
Okay, but let's talk a bit more about sort of how you got to this point, right? So I know you've been a sports development officer at a football club back in London. You worked as a physiotherapist as well for about like 4 years or something like that, wasn't it? But 9 years ago, you established a social netball league called Play Simple Netball. Why did you feel that 9 years ago that was something that was really needed?
I think because the gap was definitely there then, and it's definitely, and I still believe that it's there now. The gap between not elite, but I guess in sports development you've got different levels. So you've got that recreational level, or sort of participation, and then you've got more, that step up to where you join a club, and you take it a little bit more seriously, and you train, and you might run trials and be selected for a team. And I think if you've grown up doing that, then that opportunity is still there for you. But where we see a lot of girls in particular drop out around sort of age 14 onwards, and maybe sort of through university, and then once they finish their degree, or if they're in working, young professionals that are working that maybe want to get back into some sort of sport, that gap is sort of so great that they find it hard to then step into that straight away. So what we offer is that opportunity to play at the right level for the person, if they haven't played since they were 13, 14, then to go to a club is quite intimidating. So what we try and do is just make it as accessible as possible for as many people as possible. And I think our leagues have grown over time and changed. So we've got players that started playing with us a long time ago. Their journey was to start as a beginner, and they've either carried on playing socially and they're happy doing that, or some of them have said, actually, I want to do a bit more. And they've joined clubs and they've gone on to play, in different leagues at a more competitive level. We've got people who have joined when they were 14 or 15, along with their mum, who's maybe sort of taken it up, in later years. And some of them are now umpires and, playing at a representative level, at a county level, something like that. So I think it's sort of opening the doorway, really, of, I don't know, it's making it accessible again for them to do with it whatever they want to. However far they want to go.
Netball sessions, don't you?
Yeah, we do. So we run some back to netball sessions, and the ones we run in Manchester are in partnership with England Netball as well. And that's just a turn up and play session. So anyone who hasn't played for ages can just go along. There's no commitment. You just sort of turn up on the night and pay and play. And then the ones that enjoy it and want to take it a bit further, they've got the opportunity to join teams from there.
So is that something that came from like your personal experience? How did you get into netball yourself?
I've always played netball, not at a very high level, but I played through school and I was on school teams. And
so was it the school that kind of pushed you into netball?
Yeah, I sort of played every sport going really at school. So I played hockey and netball. I think I played a bit of tennis, but I really enjoyed netball. I had a horse at the time, which probably meant that she took up a lot of my time, so I didn't sort of play. I didn't go on to join a club or anything like that. And then I went away to university and I played netball there. So again, it was more socially because the gap was quite big already at that point. So the players that were in sort of the university teams all played at county level, where I hadn't done that. But there was opportunity there to play. So played as part of my halls of residence and, or for my department. And then when I left and I moved to London, there wasn't really anything there. And it was part of my job was to form a netball club, which was on the Isle of Dogs, just below Tower Hamlets and around Canary Wharf. And the club that we'd sort of set up, we registered them in a league that was similar to this. So again, it was set up by an Australian girl who'd come over, realised there was a gap there, and had then set these leagues up in London. And they're still going, as far as I know. And then when I moved back to Manchester, it was a case of sort of seeing that opportunity there, and just deciding to run with it and see what happened.
No, so it does. So usually when you see something being established or founded, whatever, it does usually come from a personal experience. So you kind of went through that yourself, so you know a bit like how to, I guess, recruit and what other people are feeling like at that stage, especially like after 14 and stuff like that. So you said you played quite a few sports. Why did you feel like netball was the one you kind of wanted to focus on more? What were the kind of aspects of the sport that you really enjoyed?
I don't know. I like being part of the team. And I don't know. I think it's got me through some really sort of tough times, if you like. So where your head's all over the place and then you turn up to play, but all you think about for the next hour is that game. You're concentrating and you're sort of part of the team and you're winning and you're losing and, and then at the end of it, it's just, I don't know, I definitely rely on netball for my mental health as well. So definitely feel better. So definitely feel better after I've done some exercise. And I just find that I really enjoy playing netball and I get a good feeling about it. I enjoy being part of a team. Made some great friends from it as well. So there's a real sort of core group of my netball friends. Probably more so when I moved back to Manchester. So sort of early 30s around there, that age group, where we'd go away for tournaments and go away for the weekend, or all those different sort of experiences and memories that you make, and friendships and things like that. So it's given me quite a lot as a sport.
And what have you seen overall of what makes people join netball? Is it usually through school, or is it through, I don't know, so media or anything like that? What gets people into it more?
I think netball's profile has definitely risen over the last few years, since they won Commonwealth Gold. Which was 2018, I think, and then 2019 it was the World Cup, which was hosted in Liverpool, which gave a lot of our players and a lot of local players the opportunity to go and watch, like, first, international netball at that level, and really open people's eyes to it. So I think the profile in the media has risen for female sport as well, and then maybe it's made people think about, well, actually, could I do? Maybe not playing at that level, but what can I do? I used to love netball. How can I get back into it?
Yeah, because it was interesting, because I'm an immigrant in this country, and I come from Lithuania, where kind of basketball is the sport, which is very, very close to netball, right? But what I found when I came to the UK, that, well, personally, I didn't even know such a sport as netball exists. It was to that level. Whereas here, it was quite big. And I remember the first time I saw it, I just didn't know what's going on, because the only reference I had was basketball. I just found it very interesting, and it looked very challenging, because even though it's very similar to basketball, the slight changes, the fact you have to stop, the fact that there's no backboard and stuff like that, made it really tough in some angles. And I was just wondering, like, what do you feel needs to kind of happen so that netball has a bit more of a global presence, similar to, say, something like basketball? Because as a sport, I don't think it's any worse than basketball, but it doesn't feel like it has that kind of global presence.
No, I don't think it does, but I think that's because there's still a relatively small number of countries that play it. So it tends to be the Commonwealth countries. So there is a presence over in the United States, for example. They do play netball over there, but it's not, it's competing with these huge other sports. And I think a lot of the first class sort of elite funding is linked to the Olympics, and it's not an Olympic sport. And I think they won't get as much money as some of the other sports because of that, although they do compete on the world stage, England. So I don't know, I think more countries need to play it. It needs to grow outside of that traditional sort of Commonwealth countries. The difference at the World Cup between the top 6 teams and the bottom teams, so there were maybe sort of 16 teams there, I think. The ones that are in 13th, 14th, 15th place, there's a huge difference between, they couldn't compete. They were nowhere near competing with the top teams. So I think there's a way to go even in developing those countries and sort of helping them grow so that they compete on the same stage. This comes back to this
in-between as well, isn't it? It's really understanding, oh, I'm actually going to go pro, or am I just, keeping this as a hobby? Because, it can be intimidating going from, oh, I'm just playing to, right, probably going to be a professional now.
And I guess in the top countries, so when I say the top countries, I'm not sure about domestic competition in Jamaica or South Africa, for example, but Australia, New Zealand, England to some extent, they're not professional in England, but they are in Australia and New Zealand. And the top players for some of the other countries are offered contracts to go and play over there. And that's kind of what's dragged them up. So because they're competing, week in, week out with the best players. And that's improved the standard of the England team, without a doubt. To some debate in Australia, for example, when they won the Commonwealth gold. It's like we've helped them do that because we let them come and play in our country and play and compete and learn from us. And, and it's right, they had to some extent, although they put changes in the background, in England. Those players improved because they were offered.
Well, I think at this point there does need to be a very much collaborative effort into developing any country that is interested in it to a level where other countries will look at it as a precedent and go, do you know what? There's a lot of opportunity there. We should really push our funding, our attention, our media towards it. So I think it's a great thing that sort of, there's a bit of a mix and match and kind of helping each other out in that way.
I'm not sure they'd see it much, but I know what you mean.
One thing I did notice, and I wonder whether that has anything to do with what we're just talking about right now, is the fact that I've seen that there's mixed leagues. I've seen that there's even like all-male tournaments, but predominantly netball is seen as a female-only sport. Now, in today's kind of situation, I guess, we see a lot of kind of females going into sports that are, I guess, a bit more dominated by males historically, but really kind of proving themselves and really sort of getting the funding and attention that they deserve. But at the same token, I don't really see that in netball. I don't see actually men trying to get into it a bit more and establish themselves there. What do you reckon is the reason for that? Why is netball not attracting more male players?
I think it is predominantly seen as a female sport. And I think, I don't know, I'd like to think it's not the case, but potentially men who want to play netball are opening themselves up to a bit of ridicule from their friends and things like that, because it is seen as traditionally a female sport. And it's people who haven't played it, who don't know how competitive it can be and how fast-paced and that sort of thing, that would say those things or sort of tease someone about it. But I do think it's probably that I don't know, what's that legacy of it being a female sport.
Because to be fair, again, speaking from personal experience, I really kind of wanted to try it out. I wanted to see, as somebody that plays basketball, how does the difference feels, right, and stuff like that. But in all honesty, I did find it challenging to even try it out, just because it's all dominated by females. So I think somebody has to start. I think somebody needs to kind of get over that. I think we're not as judgmental, I guess, as we used to be towards that. So I hope that's going to change, because when you look at the sport itself, I mean, you're best to tell me, like, what do you think are like the key benefits of the sport? Like, what are the skills that are developed while playing netball?
Definitely hand-eye coordination
Yeah.
with your passing, spatial awareness, movement, tactical awareness as well. So it can be quite a tactical game.
Yeah.
When I see our beginners playing, there's very simple things that they can do. Actually, there was a game last night that I umpired, and they just moved about twice as much as they need to, you know, because they don't really understand what their role is on court and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's just a great game. It can be sort of very competitive, very close, high scoring as well. Can be quite exciting.
And it's very team, isn't it? Yeah. Even in something like, I'll use basketball as a reference because I feel like there's quite a lot of similarities. They can be the best player and basically take over the game. Whereas in netball, I feel like unless you're playing as a team, there's no way you can win.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can have standout players that help you win that game, but the way that each position is restricted down the court, you can't have a player that goes at absolutely everywhere. So there isn't the absolute all-rounder, I guess. Everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, and that's part of being a team.
And I think that's one of the kind of biggest things that I basically took away from netball is that basically that they're just forcing you to be a great teammate, which then, you know, as a consequence, will develop those type of skills in whatever, you know, in life you go with this work, with your relationships, whatever it may be. I think that really contributes in a positive way.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm interested. Coming back to the actual league, not many people run leagues, right? But there are a lot of people that maybe are thinking about it or want to. So I want to kind of pick your brains a bit as to what goes into it. So let's start off with, how does as somebody that runs and is the creator of a league, what does your day look like? What does it entail? And I imagine there's a lot of multitasking and stuff like that.
There is quite a lot of multitasking. I guess I'm trying to think what we did this morning as a team. So there's myself and then two league managers as well. And then we also have someone that helps us with the new teams. So I guess it's... we always start the day looking at the umpire rota. So we have a number of umpires that work for us or work with us. And then it's making sure that everyone knows where they're meant to be. They all do it as a secondary job. So sometimes life gets in the way, or work and things like that. So there might be changes to that, and then trying to get that covered. And then it's just dealing with sort of queries that come up from the teams. So we might have a league that's coming to an end, and we are asking the teams if they want to sign up again. So a lot of our leagues are quite short. So it's not kind of September through to April. So we keep it quite short. They might only have 8 matches in a league, for example, because teams sometimes want to dip in and out, and it's not a huge commitment that would put them off. So we might be confirming with teams whether they want to, you know, rejoin that league, doing some fixtures, and then we have match night coordinators as well. So we need to make sure that they've got everything that they need. So when those fixtures are done, we have to send all the paperwork out. They go live on the website. Make sure everyone knows what's going on, raising our invoices, making sure we've got some money coming in, and then liaising with the venues as well. We use a lot of schools, so this time of year they have exams, so it's maybe making some changes and that sort of thing, and that's probably the day-to-day.
So a lot of management stuff. So what does excite you the most when you go to about your job in general? Like each single day, would you feel like is the thing that's like, I love this job?
I think it's getting the positive feedback. So people that have maybe just joined, and you know the feedback is that they're loving it, and that they're so happy that they've done this and they've taken that decision to join. How much they're enjoying it. I guess it's putting those new teams together as well. I think for us, so we take teams, which are people that know each other. They might be work teams, friends, but we also take individual players and put them into teams, and that's definitely helped us to sort of grow.
It's quite a creative process, that.
Yeah, it is. It's like herding cats sometimes because people just change their mind, or again things happen, and trying to make sure that everyone knows exactly what they're getting into and that they're happy with that. But yeah, I'd say probably about 70% of our team started that way.
Okay.
And we've got some teams that, 9-10 years on are still together, or the core of them are still together.
And what do you feel are the key factors for them staying together for so long?
Commitment. So players that are committed to playing most weeks, or as much as they can, and having someone that will help organise them.
Mm-hmm.
So a few natural organisers in a team goes a long way as well.
Yeah.
Because it can be quite difficult to sort of manage. Someone has to do it, so it can be quite difficult to manage a difficult group of people, or an unreliable or uncommitted group of people.
Yeah.
So I think if they didn't have that commitment and that love for the game, then I'm not sure they'd continue that.
I think that's a key thing you just said, is that I think unless you really truly love the game, the commitment part is really hard, because life happens a lot of times, and then it's like, how do you prioritize those things, and where do you put netball as a sport and then your team in there?
And sometimes that changes as well. So we have some people who, they might have a family and they just can't commit at that time, but the door's always open and they may come back. So they might have a year off, 2 years off, and then come back to us. But I think that having that flexibility really helps. So again, keeping the leagues fairly short does help as well.
So what have you learned in those 9 years that you wish you knew when you started?
Oh gosh.
If you had to pick just a few.
I don't know. I think it's probably more the business skills, I'd say. So the actual, as the leagues have grown, we've had to add certain layers to things to make it more efficient, to allow us to sort of manage that number of teams, because we have got quite a lot of teams. So I think learning as you go along, hopefully not making the same mistakes again. I don't know that we do things that differently to how we did them at the beginning.
Yeah.
But I definitely
what would
learned.
Be those mistakes then that you wish kind of like you could have avoided?
I don't know. It's probably more the growing it as a business.
So you looked at it not as a business when you started off.
No,
you looked
definitely
at it
not. No,
as a passion, I guess. More.
Yeah, it was definitely a hobby.
Yeah.
So it was something that I wanted to do.
What was the expectation first when you started?
I didn't really have any expectation. I just just tried it, and it was just. I guess when I came back to Manchester and I was a student again, I had a lot more free time than when you're working full time. So it was something to sort of fill that time, and something that I was quite passionate about and I wanted to do, and the opportunity was there. So I didn't really have any expectation that it was going to turn into a business that would offer me a full-time role.
So you started this part-time, and then at some point it turned into full-time.
Yeah.
How did you make that decision? What were the key factors? Because imagine that's quite a big step to take it from a hobby to, do you know what, I think this is like the thing that I want to focus on fully.
I think I probably thought about it for about 12 months before I did it, and then went backwards and forwards and thinking, can I do this? Can I not? What are the risks? And it just, as a physio, I had a qualification and skills that I can always go back to. And it was a feeling of, this can't wait. It was kind of bursting at the seams, and I was really struggling to manage work and not really doing either job to the best of my ability. And it just got to the point where I thought, I can't carry on like this. I have to make a decision. And it was, just kind of took the leap, really. But I worked with the MMU's Centre for Enterprise, and I did a course that they'd put on, which was sort of funded through European funding, called LEAD. And there was a group of maybe sort of 15 to 20 of us who were all sort of business owners or working at a high level within a business. And it was all around growth and leadership. And that was a bit of a turning point for me, because it was the first time that I'd had that support from other people who were in a similar position. And it can be quite lonely when you're trying to make those decisions and wondering if you're doing the right thing. And I still have a support network now, not necessarily from that, but from from other people. And I think that's really important as a business owner, that you've got that to fall back on, and a sounding board, really. For what decision should I make? Where should what are we going to do next?
And I guess it creates a bit of accountability as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I meet up with a group once every other month in Leeds, and they all have businesses that are sort of sports based.
Right.
And that's sort of a facilitated group, but I'm very much accountable to them.
Yeah.
So when I go each time, I have to, I have KPIs that are set, that all right, I set them, but I still need to achieve them. And if I don't, I have to explain why not.
Yeah, I guess it's quite a common theme when you see people starting something which is completely just, that's my passion, that's what I like to do. I want to do it a bit more, right? I want to take it to the next level. And when you realize all the nitty-gritty that comes with it, especially that you grow a team, now you need to pay salaries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the thing when it becomes a bit scary as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because, now it's real. There's other people depending and stuff.
I guess it's even, we have quiet time, so we're coming up to a quieter time in April where a lot of our leagues finish. A lot of the schools start their exam periods, so we usually go outside and there's like a big sort of shake-up of where teams are playing. August is usually quieter because people are away and they sort of take a step back then and they don't play. Yeah. And then Christmas, again, we sort of close down for 2 weeks. So we've got, what I've come to learn, or what I've learned over time is that those are the 3 periods or the 3 months that are quiet. But it also means that there's not as much income coming in. So I still need to be able to, it's like little things like planning for that.
So somebody's listening to this right now, thinking about starting a league, whether it's netball or any other sport. So what would be that one piece of advice that we could tell them to make that maybe decision easier?
I don't know. I'd say, I guess what I've learned with our leagues is that it needs to be in the right place. So you can have the most amazing venue with great facilities, but if people can't get there, then it won't work.
Right.
So I'd say really think about the venue and whether it's accessible for people and whether it's the right venue. And then it's just getting word out there and don't give up either. You have to keep at it. It takes time. Try a few things. We've got a tournament tomorrow evening. We're starting a new beginners league in Didsbury. So the tournament is to get the teams together beforehand, give them a bit of match practice.
Yeah.
So little things like that, just to get something started, get some activity started, and it gives you a benchmark for, is there enough interest there to actually do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So think a bit more wider rather than just, I like this sport and I want to just do it. Right? Yeah.
I mean, passion for a sport goes a long way.
Yeah,
and having that interest goes a long way.
So talking about that, I'm curious as well to ask, I've heard a lot of people say not turning their passions into the business because they're afraid to lose that passion, because let's face it, running a business entails a lot of different things you might not enjoy as much. Did you feel like it became maybe a bit tedious and you were losing the love for netball a bit? Or did that not change? Did you have to manage that somehow? I
don't know. I still enjoy, I do less of the hands-on stuff. So my 2 league managers quite often work in the evening and we'll do the running around, because we use lots of different venues. So they quite often do more of the hands-on. But then if I don't do it for a while, and then when I go back into it, I realise how much actually, that's the fun bit, actually going out in the evening and meeting people and watching them play or umpiring and being there to sort of chat to people and that sort of thing. For me, that's kind of the fun bit. So I don't ever want to not do any of that. But it doesn't mean that I want to do it 5 nights a week.
It's just, I guess, remembering why you started in the first place, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it always comes from the passion.
Yeah, you do take a step back as it gets bigger. You need to apply those business skills and a bit more of a business head. It's not just well, that's nice to do. It's like, actually, is it going to pay the bills? Is it creating enough revenue there to actually pay that person to do that job? And I guess we've made some difficult decisions about not continuing with the league or. Those type of things. What are we going to do with those teams if we've only got a small number and things like that? So
for someone that wants to get into netball, right? What would you say they should be aware of the most? If they've never played netball before, so like I say, I see a session that you just posted for beginners and stuff like that. I want to make a decision. What are the things that would be useful for me to know before I start?
I guess do a bit of research and find out when and where it is. I would start with, if you think you want to try it, first of all, then go to a session that's not, no commitment, so you just go and pay and play. And not to be, I think we get a lot of queries from people saying, I'm going to be on my own, does that matter? It's like, actually, 95% of the people there are on their own. They can't find a friend who also wants to play netball, so they just, and I think getting over that fear of that they're going to stand out because they're not good enough, or everyone else is going to be amazing and I'm going to look silly, or I'm not going to know anyone there and no one's going to talk to me. And so we put all of those barriers, really, or those fears to one side and just put your trainers on and try.
Yeah. And as an immigrant, you can definitely relate to that. When you come into a country, don't know anybody, a team sport is a brilliant thing. Because let's face it, a lot of team sports have a brilliant community, and they want to meet people. They want to see the sport grow and stuff like that. So usually you are really well accepted, and people will kind of take care of you and make sure that you have fun. And then obviously having the social aspect of it definitely helps as well.
I think if we know that a player has come to us because they want to try something, but also they're new to Manchester or new to the area, and they just want to meet people, then we usually make a point of letting everyone else know that as well in their team. And then they're like, oh, I'm going out on Friday, why don't you come with me? Or they'll organise a get-together themselves. And that's part of it as well. It's sort of widening your social circle and making people feel welcome as well.
So netball as a sport, where do you see it going next? And where do you want it to go next?
I don't know. I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that because I'm not involved enough in the elite side of the game.
Right.
I'd like to see our Netball Super League become professional, for those players to be professional and not be holding down jobs, as well as trying to play and train at that level. So I'd like to see more funding, more sponsorship for the elite game. To allow them to make it a full-time job. And I guess for us, it's just making sure that anyone that wants to play does get the opportunity to play. So there's various different ways of getting into netball. You can do walking netball, back to netball. You can play in our leagues or another social league. You can play for a club, all the way through to sort of county level and then Super League and then national level. So I guess making sure that each level that's right for that person is available to them, and to make sure that it's not just pockets as well. That it's wherever you are, you've got those opportunities.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not sure that's the case at the moment.
So what does the future hold for Play Simple Netball then?
Oh gosh, I know we were talking beforehand. I would like to grow our franchise side of the business. To be able to replicate what we've done in Manchester in different areas of the country. I do feel like the people who are best placed to do that are the people that are based in those areas, that are maybe already part of the netball community in that area, maybe not, but that know that area and know what people want and need. And I believe that the people who live in that area would be best served by those people who have the same passion and interest in netball and that would like to grow their own business as well. So I'd like to grow the franchise side, and then again just being able to offer anyone that's within the Northwest, really, which is where the majority of our leagues are based, that opportunity to come and play, and to make sure that we've got the right league and the right level for them.
Well, I hope we reach a point where it goes way beyond Northwest. It is very inspiring to see what you're doing. I'm really happy you took the leap 9 years ago to do this. We spoke before. I can definitely see the true passion in what you're doing. I think there needs to be more people like yourself trying to get people active, really raising awareness of the sport. So I'm really happy there are people like you that do this. So I just wanted to congratulate you on all your success, and just give you as much luck and positivity as I can to go a lot more than that. Final question: where can people best connect with you, find out more about Play Simple Netball?
Yeah, probably via the website, which is simplenetball.co.uk.
Yeah.
We are on Instagram as well and on Facebook, but all the details are on the website.
Yeah, we'll link it up, everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me.
No problem. Thank you.
So if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And let us know in the comments what you liked or didn't like and who our next guest should be. For more content like this, make sure you follow all of our social media channels. And don't forget to download the ORFI Active app to find a variety of sporting and fitness activities near you to easily find and join. We'll see you at the next ORFI Hangouts.